2.0.0 Material Handling Equipment. Identify various types of material handling equipment and describe how they're used. Non-motorized material handling equipment and motorized material handling equipment. Non-motorized material handling equipment 2.1.0. When using non-motorized or manual material handling equipment, you use the force and strength of your body to move the equipment. Examples of manual material handling equipment include the following: material carts, hand trucks, cylinder carts, drum dollies, drum carts, roller skids, wheelbarrows, pipe mules, pipe transports, and pallet jacks. Material carts. Material carts, also known as platform trucks, are platforms on boards that are laid horizontally on 4 caster wheels. These types of carts are typically used to transport materials around a job site. Using a material cart, follow these safety guidelines. It says before using the carts with caster wheels, inspect them to ensure that the casters will roll and swivel freely. When using a cart with pneumatic tires, check the tires' air pressure before use. Check to make sure that the surface has adequate traction to avoid slips. When moving a cart, keep your hands away from the edges of the handles to avoid pinching, crushing, or cutting your hands. Make sure your load is centered and secured so it doesn't roll off. If the materials are protruding out the front of the cart, have a spotter walk ahead of you to help you avoid contact with objects or other workers. A spotter is a person who walks in front of another worker who's carrying or transporting a load to ensure there's a clear, unobstructed path. So you have to follow your spotter, and your spotter is going to make sure that you've got a clear path to move. Use caution when moving a cart on an inclined or declined surface. Never load a cart past its labeled weight capacity. The weight capacity must be marked in plain view on the side of the cart. Here's a material cart. Now, we all know where this picture was taken, right? Looks like Home Depot. Cart is orange. 2.1.2 Hand trucks. Hand trucks, also known as dollies, are two-wheeled carts that are used to transport large, heavy loads, such as appliances or stacks of heavy boxes. Hand trucks are vertical material handling devices that have a metal blade at the bottom that is inserted beneath the load. Many hand trucks are equipped with ratchet straps to secure loads. So here's a hand truck. We've all seen those before. Before using hand truck, inspect the framework for stress fractures and check the tires. When loading a hand truck, tilt the objects to be moved forward and slide the blade of the hand truck under the objects. Hold the object against the hand truck's framework as you tilt back on the wheels to load the object onto the hand truck. Use a ratchet strap to secure the load. Rubber or bungee style cords may not hold the load if the weight shifts. Simply buckle the strap around the load and tighten the belt snugly. Then tilt the hand truck back and move the load. 2.1.3 Cylinder carts, like a hand cart for cylinders. High-pressure gas cylinders or bottles should be transported on cylinder carts, which are designed specifically to transport compressed gases. Pressurized gas contained in cylinders can pose explosion risks, even if the gas itself is inert. So a lot of times on the job site, you have acetylene torches that have acetylene and oxygen. It's oxyacetylene. They have to be separated by a metal barrier with a 1-hour fire rating. So that's what this cart is for. You can transport both of the tanks and have this barrier between them, so you're still complying with OSHA. Follow these guidelines when transporting compressed gas cylinders. Check the label on the cylinder to identify the gas that it contains and verify that the cylinder is approved for transporting the gas. Never transport a gas cylinder without the safety cap screwed on all the way down to the body of the cylinder. These are the safety caps. The nozzle is underneath here, and you don't want to break that nozzle off. If you do, you've got a torpedo on your hands. So you put this safety bell on here and it keeps that from happening, the safety cap. Never lift a gas cylinder by the safety cap. Never transport a gas cylinder with the regulator attached. Use chains or straps to secure cylinders to the cart. Keep the cylinders upright. Many sites require a partition on the cart to be separate uh, to separate the two bottles. Wear the appropriate personal protective equipment whenever handling gas cylinders. Warning, if the tank of a compressed gas cylinder ruptures or cracks during transport, the tank could become a deadly projectile or it could explode into fragments of shrapnel. 2.1.4 Drum dollies carts. So these are for like a 55-gallon drum. Chemicals, lubricants, and other materials are commonly stored in 55-gallon drum barrels. Drums that are filled with materials can be very heavy and unwieldy to move. Two methods for safely transporting loaded drums around the workplace are drum dollies and drum carts. A drum dolly is used to move relatively light drums. The simplest type of drum dolly is a flat-wheeled platform that the drum sits on. The dolly may be equipped with a strap to secure it and prevent movement, or a handle to pull and control the load. A drum cart is typically used to move heavier loads, such as a sealed oil drum. One common type is a rotating drum cart. Its main features include prongs, handles, wheels, and a set of heavy-duty casters. So here's a drum cart. I'm sorry, the drum cart. And you can see the way it's shaped. When you get to where you're going, you can take this and tip it up and it will ride on these two skis, these sleds. You can tip it up and move it 90 degrees till the drum is flat on the ground, and then you can take the cart off of the drum. To use rotating drum cart, follow these steps. With the cart held vertically, slide the two prongs of the cart under the drum. Allow the cart to roll back into the horizontal position and sit on the wheels and casters. With the drum resting horizontally on the well of the cart, use the cart handles to maneuver the load to its destination. Once at the destination, tip the cart into the vertical position to allow the drum contents to be unloaded. Roller skids. I have a highlight here. The highlight says, roller skids, some come equipped with a rotating table surface. Some have spikes on the table surface for a better grip. So this is what a roller skid looks like. It has two like Flintstone tires. These are drums rather than wheels. So and they're made out of solid metal. They're cast iron. So here's the table surface that actually rotates, and it has a couple of spikes here, so it keeps the load from slipping off of this table. Here's the handle. Roller skids must be used on a relatively smooth surface. The rollers can easily be stopped by small rocks or hardware on the floor surface. Ensure that the route ahead is swept if necessary to provide prior to the move. Wheelbarrows. A wheelbarrow is a one or two wheeled vehicle with handles at the rear used to carry small loads. It's recommended that only two wheelbarrows be used on job sites since they are more stable with a heavy load. Remember to check the air pressure in both tires and check the body of the wheelbarrow for cracks, breaks, or punctures before using it. Use proper lifting techniques when using wheelbarrow. Keep your head up, your back straight, bend your knees, and lift with your legs. So here's a wheelbarrow. I think we've all seen those. A pipe mule is a two-wheeled device used to transport medium-length pieces of pipe, tubing, or scaffolding. It's sometimes referred to as a tunnel buggy. It may also be called a V-cart or a grasshopper, which is a brand name. Loading or unloading a pipe mule, use proper lifting techniques. The proper loading method is to have one worker lift one end of the load while another worker rolls the pipe mule under the load. Place the wheels of the pipe mule underneath the center of the load As with any long load, use a spotter when moving a load with a pipe mule. So here's a pipe mule, and you can carry much more pipe on the pipe mule than you can on your shoulder. 2.1.8 Pipe transport. A pipe transport is similar to a pipe mule, but it's used to move larger pieces of pipe. Pipe is slung underneath the frame that is attached to two rubber wheels. This device requires two people to operate it. Use caution when moving the pipe into position. Warning when using a pipe transport, beware of pinch points when securing chains around the pipe. Do not overload the equipment. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations. Keep both hands on the handle at all times to maintain safe control. A pallet jack. 2.1.9. Pallet jacks, also known as a pallet truck, is a device that typically uses hydraulics to lift and move heavy or stacked pallets. Both motorized and non-motorized versions of this device are available. Motorized pallet jacks are sometimes called walkies. So here's a pallet jack. This one is non-motorized. You can raise and lower these forks by pumping the handle. You take this handle and you put it down into a horizontal position, and then you can pump it, pump, 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 pump. And as you do, the hydraulics are going to slowly lift these forks a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. I don't know how high they get. They might get as far as 10 inches off the ground, but you can put it down low and get underneath the pallet and then jack it up 3-4 inches, get that pallet off the ground. And now you're supporting it with the pallet jack, and you can move that pallet jack and move that pallet. Remember the following safety guidelines when using a pallet jack. Plan and review the route before using a pallet jack. Be very careful about using it on uneven surfaces or ramps. Inspect pallet jacks before use, looking carefully for malfunctions or missing parts. Check for oil leaks around fittings or hoses of hydraulic pallet jacks, and repair any leaks before the jack is put into service. Never use a pallet jack to lift or transport a load that exceeds the jack's rated capacity. The load rating should be clearly posted on the body of the jack. Inspect the wood pallet to ensure it's in good condition to adequately handle the load. Make sure the load is centered between the pallet jack forks. Don't ride on a pallet jack. I know you've seen videos on YouTube or TikTok of guys using them like a skateboard. Don't do that. The way they steer, if you quickly turn the handles, the whole thing is going to roll over. It's going to fall over on its side because it becomes top heavy. And centrifugal force, when you try to take a quick turn, it's going to cause it to throw you off. So it's not worth it. 2.2.0 Motorized material handling equipment. Here this is highlighted. It says operators must be trained, certified, and authorized to operate motorized material handling equipment. Training courses must consist of a combination of formal instruction, hands-on training, and evaluation of the operator's performance in the workplace for each type of material handling equipment being used. All operator training and evaluation must be conducted by a person who has knowledge, training, and experience. Warning, all motorized material handling equipment should be operated only by individuals who have proper training for the specific type of equipment being used. The exact requirements for authorization to operate may differ among the various types of equipment. Certification is required to operate many, although not all, types of motorized material handling equipment. When lifting materials mechanically, carefully secure the materials that are being loaded. Also be aware of any obstructions such as people or equipment that are in the path and have the potential to cause accidents. When handling materials with a machine such as a pallet jack or knife, a forklift, always know these guidelines. Know the weight of the object to be handled or moved. Know the capacity of the handling device that will be used and never exceed the capacity. Ensure the handling equipment is in good working order and free of damage. Motorized material handling equipment discussed in this section include the following: a powered wheelbarrow, Concrete Mule, freight elevator, industrial forklift, and rough terrain forklift. Powered wheelbarrow. Powered wheelbarrow, also known as a power buggy, is similar to a manual wheelbarrow, but it's powered by an electric or gas motor. Before using a powered wheelbarrow, conduct a thorough inspection of the machine. Check the brakes and brake linkage for proper operation and adjustment. Inspect tires and wheels for damage and proper tire pressure. Test the directional controls, dumping controls, and speed controls to verify they're all working properly. Be sure to read safety labels and decals for proper safety instructions, and safety labels should be clearly visible and readable on the side of the machine. So it's a wheelbarrow, but it's powered, and if you're working indoors, you really should not. I don't think you're allowed to use a gas-powered wheelbarrow indoors because of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. Keep the following safety guidelines in mind when operating a powered wheelbarrow. Avoid pinch points on dumping mechanisms. Be sure to the dump bucket is securely down at all times when not dumping. Do not move the buggy with the bucket in the dumping position. Do not mount or dismount the buggy while it is moving. Shut off the engine and lock the parking brake when you're finished using the machine. Do not allow riders. I'm going to highlight that one. No riders on a powered wheelbarrow. Avoid any condition of slope and or grade which could cause the buggy to tip. Do not exceed the load limit in weight or height, and follow all procedures outlined in the safety labels and decals. Tugs. Some companies are reducing their use of forklift and pallet jacks and increasing the use of wheeled carts called tugs to transport loads through a facility. Material handling tugs are battery-powered devices that can push as well as pull loads. One reason to use the use of tugs has grown is that they can increase productivity by reducing the manpower required to move heavy loads. A single worker operating a tug can safely move loads that weigh hundreds or even thousands of pounds. In addition, unlike forklift operators, workers who operate tugs are not required to have special training and certification before they're authorized to operate the device. So this is an example of a tug. 2.2.2 Concrete Mule. Concrete Mule, sometimes referred to as a Georgia buggy, is a wheeled device used when a concrete pours in a location that a concrete delivery truck or pump cannot reach. Concrete mules are designed to carry concrete, sand, and gravel or materials of that nature and should not be used to transport undesignated material. So here's a concrete mule. Before using a concrete mule, you must conduct a thorough inspection of all of the following: the tires, the fluids, the mechanical hinges and joints, the throttle cables, and steering mechanism. When refueling a concrete mule or any other gas-powered material handling machine, always be sure that the engine's turned off and has cooled down before refueling. Use only fuel and oil types that are specified by the manufacturer. When discharging concrete mix from a concrete mule near an open pit, use a tire stop board or chocks to prevent the mule from rolling forward into the pit during the emptying process. Freight elevators. On multi-level sites, workers may use a freight elevator to transport materials from floor to floor. Typically, when freight elevator doors close, they travel from the top and bottom simultaneously. These doors do not have the safety bumpers that are found on a commercial passenger elevator. Rather, as a person pulls the top door down by way of a strap or handle, the bottom door rises to meet the top door. When these doors close, there's normally metal against metal contact, and this can cause injury. Make sure that all body parts such as arms, hands, fingers are clear of the door before it closes. Check to make sure that the tool belts, body harnesses, and all materials are also clear of the door. Always check the weight capacity shown on the elevator wall before placing material on an elevator. 2.2.4 Industrial Forks and Industrial Forklift is a vehicle with a power-operated pronged platform that can be raised and lowered for insertion under a load to be lifted and moved. Forklifts are typically used to lift, lower, and transport large or heavy loads in areas with a smooth terrain, such as warehouses or shops. So we've all seen forklifts. Uh, you are not allowed to get on a forklift and drive it unless you've been certified. You have to have training and certification in order to use a forklift. When working in the vicinity of a forklift, remember the following safety guidelines. All workers must keep a safe distance from the machine. This perimeter is known as the work zone. It's the area in which the machine may come in contact with objects or people, either with the rear end of the forklifts. Workers must also stay clear of the fall zone. This area includes the area directly beneath a load, as well as any portion of the area that suspended materials could possibly fall into. They say you roughly draw a 45-degree angle line from that load. However high that load is when they're lifting it, you have to come 45 degrees. So basically, if it's 10 feet above the ground, you need to stay 10 feet or better away from that forklift. That'll keep you safe. Stay in the designated walkways, make eye contact with forklift operators to ensure that that he or she sees you. Avoid the driver's blind spots. Be aware that forklifts pivot on the front wheels and turn with the back wheels, which could cause a potential pinch point. Plan a route of escape. Never get caught in a position where you get trapped in a corner or on the side of a truck. Before operating a forklift, put on the proper personal protective equipment and fasten the seatbelt. If you're not wearing a seatbelt and the forklift tips, you can easily be pinched under the forklift or have some of the load land on you. Falling objects are common when stacking and lifting with a forklift, so wear a hard hat. As with most machinery, when working with a forklift, do not wear baggy clothes that can catch on controls, cargo, or stacked objects. Never play on a forklift or drive recklessly. Accidents often happen because workers forget to respect equipment. A forklift is not a toy and should not be treated like one. Going green fuel cell technology. Increasingly, hydrogen fuel cell power units are replacing lead-acid batteries in forklifts, automated guided vehicles, and other material handling vehicles. More than 4,000 vehicles powered by fuel cells were in operation in the United States in 2012. At companies such as Walmart, Coca-Cola, BMW, FedEx, Lowe's, Mercedes-Benz, and Stihl. In 2012, approximately 30,000 fuel cell systems were shipped worldwide. A fuel cell is an electromechanical device that combines hydrogen and oxygen to produce electricity. Since the conversion of the fuel to energy takes place using an electromechanical process and not combustion, the process is clean, quiet, and highly efficient. Fuel cell technology is estimated to be 2 or 3 times more efficient than fuel burning. Furthermore, the cost of fuel cells has dropped more than 50% since 2006. They've probably come down even further. This is a little bit old information. Let's see here. I'm going to move on here. Before operating the forklift each day, inspect the following: the tires, the fluid levels, battery fuel level, fire extinguisher, the brakes, the dead man control, warning lights, a horn, and the backup alarm. Forklift operators with the fewest accidents drive with slow deliberation. Take their time and do not make mistakes. Do not attempt to cut corners to speed up your work. Drive slowly and keep your arms, hands, and legs inside the cage of the forklift. Forklifts are top heavy and when driving recklessly can tip over on curves, drive off the edge of a dock, or fail to stop in time. You're not supposed to ever drive a forklift with the load suspended in the air. You use the forks to get whatever material you need off of the shelf, and then you lower it to about 4 inches off the ground. That's where you want to transport the material. You want it to be as low as possible as you're transporting it to wherever your destination is. This keeps the forklift from being top heavy and possibly rolling over. Remember that pedestrians have the right of way. Forklifts, especially electric models, are often so quiet that they are difficult to hear. Pedestrians may not be aware that you are there, so be careful when you're driving near people, especially if they have their back to you. You should always have a spotter. If you're indoors or you're near other workers, you need a spotter because there's going to be someone you don't see and they don't see you. You don't want something to go wrong. This section on Going Green is about biodiesel. It's plant-based, oil-based fuel. Plant oil-based fuel, such as soybean, canola, and other waste vegetable oils. But I'm not going to read the whole section. 2.2.5, rough terrain forklifts. Rough terrain forklifts are designed to be used on irregular surfaces. They're typically used for jobs where there are no paved surfaces. Rough terrain forklifts are characterized by large pneumatic tires, usually with deep treads, that allow the vehicle to grab onto the roughest of roads or ground cover without sliding or slipping. So here's a rough terrain forklift. Look at how big the tires are. This thing is ready for off-roading. Forklift automation, automated guided vehicles have long been used successfully in manufacturing. Now automated forklifts, which are retrofitted with automated guided vehicle technology, are poised to generate significant improvements in material handling productivity. Tasks that may be appropriate for forklift automation are similar to the tasks that automated guided vehicles have long handled in manufacturing. Tasks involving repetitive horizontal travel along the same route for relatively long distances. I'm going to go ahead here. It says one of the most common accidents involving rough terrain forklifts is tip over. This is because these type of forklifts are often operated on uneven ground. This is highlighted. It says to prevent tip overs with rough terrain forklifts, carry the load low. Avoid driving with an elevated load except for short distances. And study load charts carefully and only operate the forklift within its stability limits. Before placing a load, apply the brakes, shift to neutral, level the frame, and engage the stabilizers if so equipped. Move carefully on slopes and only operate within specific grade limits. React to the boom and retract the boom and lower the forks before moving the forklift. Occasionally, you're going to have to raise or elevate a load in order to get past a work vehicle or somebody's car or some other material that is on the side of the road or in your way. You elevate the load, you get it above the obstruction. Drive very slowly in a straight line. You don't want to turn left or right. If you have to turn left or right, you want to come to a complete stop, turn the wheels, and then give it just a little bit of gas or throttle in order to move that forklift. And once you're clear of the obstruction, lower the load again to 4 inches above the road level or the parking lot or wherever you're working. 2.2.6 hand signals. The noise generated by motorized lifting equipment such as forklifts and the distance between workers when they are working with the equipment can make verbal communication difficult. Standard hand signals allow both the workers and the forklift operator to go through the lifting, loading, moving, and unloading procedures at a more controlled setting and help to avoid potential misunderstandings and accidents. So here's figure 33, common forklift hand signals. And raise the tines, you rotate your finger in the air. Lower the tines. You're doing this. Tilt mast back, tilt mast forward, move the tines in this direction. Dog it off. That means stop everything. Dog means pause. Clasp the hands in front of the body. You do this. That's dog it off. Dog everything off. And then, of course, the emergency stop. Extend both arms, palms down. And anyone can give the emergency stop signal. Common forklift hand signals. Here it says another very important signal for the operator to know is dog or pause everything. Okay. For instance, it's important for the operator to know when to raise or lower the tines, the L-shaped part that supports the material load of a forklift to avoid obstructions that may be in their path. This signal means to pause and can be used when potentially risky situations arise, such as when it starts raining, when the load does not fit in the space for which it was planned, or when a bystander gets too close. When providing hand signals, make sure to keep eye contact with the operator at all times. There may be special operations that require adaptations of the basic hand signals, so be sure to review the signals for your work site from time to time. If there's a misunderstanding regarding hand signals, go over the signals with the operator before proceeding. 2.0.0 section review. Which of the following are often used to secure loads on hand trucks? Ratchet straps. When refueling a concrete mule, always be sure the engine is turned off and has cooled down. Very good. Well, this concludes 00109, Introduction to Material Handling. If you got anything out of the video, please consider giving me a like and possibly subscribing to my channel. Thank you. I'll see you on the next video. Hey, this is Brian Young. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'll see you on the next video.